What's going on, boys and girls? So we just recorded our Ner-D-Bate first episode. We recorded a couple days ago. It went up yesterday at the time of the recording, and you guys seem to really like it, so we thought we'd work on it again. So this time we have Matt and AJ versing each other again, since they're very good at arguing with each other.
Yeah.
So this time we have Lara Croft versus Nathan Drake. As you know, they're both treasure hunters, and they both do flips and stuff. I was going to say that bad word. And they shoot guns. So that's pretty good. But we have a little bit more in-depth conversation going with us. And also this time we have Ryan here.
I know, it's disappointing.
Yeah, very, very disappointing. But we're going to have him also ask questions, and I thought, or not really me, but AJ also thought it would be a good idea to have another person in to spice it up, because it's not just me being boring.
You're not boring. We love you.
Nope. Okay.
I think you're pretty cute.
Moving on to our questions.
Well, just go back, please.
So we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to have the 3 minutes each. We're going to get rid of the rebuttal round just because we don't want it to run too long. We'll have them sum it up for about 1 to 2 minutes just to get an idea of why their character is better than the other. So we have Matt on Lara Croft, naturally. And he's going to be focusing more on the newer Lara Croft instead of the old.
The Square Enix trilogy of the remakes, not the older ones for the PlayStation. I just never played those.
Okay, and then we're going to have, obviously, the one and only Nathan Drake, and we're going to have our boy AJ on him.
Yo.
Okay. So, you guys ready to start?
Yes, sir.
Bring
Okay,
it.
so we're starting with Matt this time.
Yeah.
Because AJ started last time. So my first question for you guys. Why is your character more influential to action-adventure games as a genre? So we're going to start now.
So, Laura is one of the originators. We'll go back a little bit to her origin from the original. She was one of the first female protagonists for an action-adventure game. The graphics didn't do her justice, obviously, because it was PS1 days, but with the new remake by Square Enix, they kind of took her from her normal, dual-wielding, crop-top loving self to a more rugged, vulnerable Lara. I believe she was 17 or 18, something like there. In the new series when she got rebooted a couple years ago, and this is her before she becomes the Lara Croft that we all know. She basically is learning how to be that female protagonist that people grew up with. They show her with everything, like learning how to shoot a bow, learning how to do these things, following in her father's steps. It's just for her to be an influencer in this action adventure genre. There's not too many female protagonists, and there's no strong female lead. And especially a smart female lead. Sometimes they're just a female lead that just is stupidly overpowered and have no brains whatsoever. She's a scholar in history. She's a master at pretty much anything ancient. She knows everything about it. If she doesn't know about it, she'll research it and figure it out. It's just for her to be like an influencer in that action adventure thing. Yeah, she went from learning to shoot a bow, shooting a gun, whatever, in the first game, and it's her at her most vulnerable point in that first game, which is a very powerful thing. And it just shows the drive and the determination of her character to push through and persevere. It's one of those things that is just and she gets the absolute crap kicked out of her in every one of those games. Like, I know my wife, she sat there and she would watch me play it, and she's like, is she screaming again? She gets her ass kicked So I think she's one of the better and probably the originator of the female protagonist in video games.
Okay. We got AJ on Nathan Drake. 3 minutes starting now.
Hold on. Could we repeat the question?
Oh,
one
I'm
more
so
time?
sorry. I was going to even say that. Why is your character more influential to the action-adventure genre of games?
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Ready,
All right.
set, go.
Because he's awesome. Case closed. All right. So, Matt has a lot of good points. So Nathan is not female. He is another one of the male characters amongst a plethora of other male character leads for action adventure. However, you can't deny that both of them come from one main source, which is the one, the only Indiana Jones. So, that being said, I think that trying to, of course, keep it amongst for purposes of action adventure. He was, it's an interesting story with Drake and Might, because it's not where you have somebody who was rich and she, her family, brings her into this life and everything else. Is very well, brought up and everything. Nathan Drake was actually adopted, right? So he was actually in a home as he was a kid. So he learned on the streets, right? He taught himself. He was all self-taught. So he taught himself how to read, ancient Egyptian. He taught himself how to read Mesopotamian. All these ancient languages that some scholar would need to teach you, that somebody else might have had a little bit more of an easier time with because they had the resources. He made his own resources. He built everything from literally nothing. And with the action scenes as well that he has, you have the dude falling from a plane in like 2 freaking games, right? You have one literally where he got, shot, he's in a plane, plane's freaking coming apart, he's climbing the damn thing, and he narrowly escapes. And I think that's in the second one, that's Among Thieves, right? So the other one, you have him falling from a plane again, but this time he actually grabs onto a cargo box. It's insane. The dude's it seems like he's unkillable, and he meets up with, it's probably a little bit of a jumping the shark point, but it's not like how bad Indiana Jones was for the fourth one. So, but in the first game, he comes across something completely 180 of him going on another adventure, but he comes across the zombies, right? So now it goes from trying to just find something that he wants to, to get, to now actually saving the world. So that in itself is something that's a little bit more, I think, brings a little bit more light to him, because it's an adventure that he wanted to go on. It's something he wanted to find, and then it just so happens to turn into him. Now he needs to save the world, and by doing so is him kind of backtracking and trying to take the idol and just try to save the world that way. So it becomes a little bit more substantive, because he needs to, it's not just about finding an idol or finding some kind of lost piece of history, to now he's actually trying to save the world, and it was completely inadvertent. So it goes from one story to now him saving the world by doing what he was originally trying to do. So I think brings a little bit more substance to it, and plus also he wasn't trying to be a hero from the beginning. He's just trying to find an idol for his self-worth. He turns into the unwitting hero because he needs to save the world more towards the end, and he's also a wise ass, and I think people just kind of love the wise ass.
Sounds relatable. So that was the 2 points for the first question. I'm going to throw it over to my main man, my main squeeze, Ryan, to ask the second question.
Listen here, Big Ounce. Don't ever.
Okay,
You've been told to be, you're worse than a bully sometimes.
Hold on.
Yeah. Anyway, my question for you two handsome gentlemen and woman. I know we're talking about Lara Croft. Don't want to be sexist. What makes your characters more adept at finding treasure? Like, out of Laura and Drake, which character is more adept in your guys' opinion? Matthew?
Alright, well, I'm taking the stance of Laura. So Laura is definitely more in depth as she progresses through her adventures. In her adventures, she gets to a point where she has to struggle with certain internal demons and internal things. She remembers things from her childhood, like going after things in her father's study, because her father was trying to find these specific islands or tombs or wherever he was going. And she then takes these things that she learned when she was a kid. As AJ said, she wasn't on the poorer side. She came from a rich family. Absolutely, because her father was an archaeologist and hunted these tombs and whatnot. She's a master puzzle solver. She can figure out a puzzle just by looking around and figuring out exactly, hey, this thing looks like, okay, I can climb up this thing. I can figure this out. She uses her knowledge of different parts of history. In the third one, she actually has to save the world because of she found this relic, and this relic is now basically making the world end because of Mayan. I can't think of the name. Like a Mayan end of days. Aztec or Mayan Aztec. I forget, but it's Central America.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. But she's very adept at figuring out things and finding a solution. She's not just gonna go in there guns a-blazing trying to figure it out like she might have done in previous games, like in the original games. These games, the remakes with Square Enix, really show Lara as a person, as somebody that has to fight through something and do something that she's not used to. She's just one of those characters that you pull behind and just figure out. It's fun to learn the history through her, even sometimes that it's not actual history, but sometimes it is. And it's very interesting to me how she's very adept at figuring out any tomb that she goes into. So that's my why I think she's a very good treasure hunter.
Okay. You had about like 10 seconds left on the clock. So
yeah, I know. I couldn't think. I was starting to ramble, so I didn't want to.
My man makes it short, sweet, and to the point. All right, and I won't have you judge him. All right.
Never.
Well, thank you, Matthew, for your opinion. AJ, I don't really. You're ugly. You go. The question is, what makes your character more adept at finding treasure than Lara Croft?
Thank you. My name is AJ, and I will be answering your question now.
All right, I said ugly, not an impression of me.
Oh, my bad. Okay, sorry. So I wouldn't say like more. Okay, so more adept. I would say kind of brings back to the point that I had made, but I'll build on that obviously because I made that a little bit too early. So Nathan Drake he learned everything by himself for the most part, right, until he was a kid. Then he met his partner Sully, right? So everything that this guy has done isn't because it was all self-taught, or he would learn from from his experiences, right? So everything was built upon from his experiences. So he was actually tossed in jail quite a few times for a few years at a clip because of him trying to and go after his goals, right? So right then and right there, that kind of teaches you more things, more street information, how to get more information from the local residents, the local lore, everything else. So it would actually become like a little bit more of a like a spy kind of thriller, right? Because it was also like in one of the games, he actually did infiltrate one of the one of the parties to try to gain some more information. So now he becomes what he needs to gain information to get the end result, to get the objective of what he's hunting for, right? And again, this wasn't anything that was taught to him by anybody that he had. He didn't have resources. He needed to get them all. He needed to get all the information from becoming more streetwise from Sully. So now he had somebody actually having his six. So now that you actually don't just rely on yourself. Now you have a partner, so now you have somebody who can fill in the blanks, right? So you don't need to know that much more. So now you have a conversation, so now you have one big brain by having a partner. So there's an advantage with having people to back you up, right? So his gunmanship, he's an excellent marksmanship. He's a climber, right? He's a swimmer. He knows like at least 3 or 4 languages. I think like a couple of them are dead languages, but he can actually read them. So he's able to find all the past information, just like from the first game. Like when he actually finally got to the treasure, realized that it was taken away, he was able to look at the depictions on the wall, figured it out that it was already taken hundreds of years ago just by looking at it. So he was able to actually go into that part of his brain. He has his diary from the first one that he has to go into. So I think that just going from the original, the OG treasure hunter, from again going back to Indiana Jones, he not only matches Indiana Jones point for point, but he surpasses him because he's just more adept and at just becoming what he needs to become to get the end result, again, to get that treasure of what he's looking for. And he's willing to do anything that he needs to, again, by staying in prison for a few years.
Well, not gonna lie, AJ, you made me tear with that explanation a little bit. Put a lot of passion, heart behind it. And you know what? You're handsome in my eyes now.
I did it.
And on that note, I'm gonna toss over to Eric with his other question where I cry a little bit.
Hello. Okay. So we learned why your character is influential. We also learned why your character is adept in doing what they do best, finding treasure. But at the end of the day, these two characters are just badasses. They take beatings, they get shot at, they do what they gotta do to get that bread.
Yo, out of Compton, my man.
Okay, hold on.
What?
So my question to both of you is, what makes your character a badass? And we'll start with AJ just to mix things up here.
Well, that threw a wrench in my monkey bread. Okay, so what makes Nathan Drake more of a... So, has to piggyback off of what I had said beforehand. So, you have to go into a man's actually able and willing and has done time to go to where he needs to go, right? So when you're a white guy away in prison, it ain't nothing pretty that's going to be going on there. I can tell you that right now. So there's going to be lovemaking, and I'm fairly certain that lovemaking is not going to want to happen. So dude needs to learn how to defend himself. You know what I mean? So
my mouth be romantical.
Right, okay, I'm not going down that rabbit hole with you.
Oh, rabbit holes, you say? So cute for a girl named Alice. Sorry, continue.
Mm-hmm. So, you need to learn how to defend yourself and obviously keep these bigger, badder guys that you're literally locked up in with a freaking itty-bitty living space. You need to make sure you're on guard at all times. And the dude was in prison for years, okay? So he's beating on, these guys to make sure he stays alive. So, not only that, when he finally gets out, he's still eye on the prize. So as soon as he gets out, doesn't say hi, doesn't do whatever else, doesn't try to get drunk or laid, he just goes bam, right back to business. Right, meets back up with Sully, gets his gun, gets his gear. All right, let's go, I'm ready to go. So no stopping for this guy. He he's able to just pick up where he had left off, because he's thinking about ways now how to better himself. Where did I mess up? Where did I go wrong? Need to improve myself. Need to improve the mission. Mission always comes first. All right, that's a badass right there. So there's literally nothing is stopping this guy from his end result. You toss him out of airplanes, like I said before, he will freaking come right back. He will climb up the aeroplane. He will meet ancient people that no one else has discovered before, get healed, and then what does he do afterwards? He's right back on the mission. Then he's told all these fantastical things about about this old ancient place and how he needs to find the treasure, so this way he can kind of like, for lack of a better word, save the world. So he's put into all these amazing situations where he doesn't want to put himself, but he ends up going into it because his end result is the treasure. Everyone already knows this is the man with the plan. You want if there's going to be one guy who can get what you need, it's going to be Nathan Drake. There's nothing that's going to stop him. Guaranteed.
All right.
Badass.
So
Badass.
I remember the question, so I could just go right into mine.
Go for it.
Has Nathan Drake ever been mauled by a bear
Oh.
or a jaguar and killed it with their bare hands? No, I don't think so. So you're gonna lose this argument right now.
I'm not gonna lie, Matt. I thought you were gonna start off by saying give childbirth, and I was so ready for this.
No, I didn't. She's still underage. In the fact of the matter is that Laura in these games, she's vulnerable. Like I said before, from the first game, she learns to be a survivor. That's the whole game in that first game. You see her kill her first person. She's never done that before, and it's horrifying. The guy is sitting there trying to kill her, and what does she do? She has to defend herself, and she uses a freaking ice climbing pickaxe, like a climbing axe, and she puts it in the guy's heart, and she didn't know what to do. She was either going to die, or she had to kill the guy. She's had to fight off bears in the mountains. She's had to fight off jaguars, and she's killed them. You could see it in her face. She gets beat up, but she still gets up and keeps going. This woman, she's gotten stabbed, hit with booby traps. She's nearly drowned, like thrown out of an airplane, thrown out of, what else? A boat. She survived a hurricane. Like, this woman keeps getting knocked down and keeps getting up and continuing. She's even been in a tsunami. She's been in an earthquake. She's been in like an Indiana Jones-esque running through a temple with a giant boulder chasing after her. No joke, in one of the games. She's been after cannibals have gone after her. Like, she's literally gotten beat up 17 ways till Sunday. She keeps getting up and keeps doing what she needs to do to continue on her mission of what she needed to find or set herself out to. And she also cares about people. In the first game, she goes after one of her good friends, and one of her friends ends up becoming this deity in Yamate, and she has a group of 5 people that she goes with. She thinks they're all dead, so she continues to go no matter what she sees, and she perseveres. If that's not a definition of a badass, I don't know what is.
Damn. Well
Drop
said.
mic.
Drop that. Drop that. Don't actually do that though. That's not good.
No, I
not
won't.
gonna
I
be good
won't
for the
do
ears. Okay, so I definitely got my question answered there. So I'm gonna throw it back to my round friend Ryan.
Your round friend.
I already said main squeeze, so I don't know what to go from there.
Your cohort.
I mean, see what I mean? Like,
My cohort.
Okay, all right. Well, good. I'm glad we're sticking with this. Anyway, from Eric bullying me.
Understandable.
Okay. My question, piggybacking off of my last one, which was, what makes your character the more adept to finding treasure? My question for Matthew and AJ.
Hello.
Out of Laura and Nathan, who do you believe has the better drive to finding the treasure? Matthew, you're defending Laura. What drives her to find that treasure? What gets her up in the morning to kick her in the ass and say, "Hey, bitch, go get that treasure"?
Well, in every game the 3 games that I'm basing my arguments off of, the first game, she had to solve the mysteries of Yamate, which is a island off the coast of Japan, and she had to figure out everything about it because there was this deity that ended up becoming her good friend, and she had to save her friend. And it drove her pretty much to kill people that she didn't want to do, and she didn't want to do that. She had to survive bears, cougars, everything. Wildlife galore.
I'll just drop the bears and the cougars already. My God.
Whatever.
No yelling.
Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! But she always perseveres. She gets down to what she needs to do. I can't remember exactly what the end game was in the second one, but in the third one, she basically starts off a cataclysmic event that will put the world into disorder. It's pretty much like the Mayan calendar saying that the world is going to end. Pretty much that's what she started. And she has to rush around halfway through around the world, going from Central America to Africa to Paris to France, like everywhere over the world, trying to fight this one particular bad guy regime called Trinity, and she has to fight them to prevent the whole world from ending. I mean, from the progression of her character, from when she started out as 17 or 18 or 19, whatever it is, to where she's in her early 20s, she's already been doing this for years, and she's progressed so far in these games. It's just, the character is just, she's insane, that she will always get what she wants to save the day or find that treasure and find that solution to help out her friends or save the world. There you go.
Oh, saving the world, bear beatings, pregnancy. I think we know what drives her every morning. So, anyway, changing from the pregnancy and bear maulings that someone gets a little jealous of, fucking AJ. Anyway, AJ,
The Revenant.
AJ, Nathan Drake, what wakes him up in the morning, puts lead in his pencil, makes him go, wow, even though I've taken some prison poundings back in my day, what drives him? What drives him to go find treasure? What makes him go, hey, I'm gonna get that amulet today and put all 6 Infinity Stones in? What makes him that way? What drives?
Are we talking about Nathan Drake or okay, never mind. So
Don't ruin the moment.
So Power Stones aside, so to stick with at least, you know, from what my esteemed colleague Mathieu over here had said, is
First off, go for the jugular. Like, don't
listen, man. If you just shut up for a second,
prison
just shut up.
It changes a man.
All right.
Can't do it anymore.
You ever hear of the Folsom Prison Blues? All right, there we go.
No, because I was never in prison, unlike my dad. All right, continue.
Okay, anyways.
My mom. There's
This
my
terrible.
one.
Can I get a restart on my timer? This is
No,
ridiculous.
keep going.
No. Bullshit. Anyway, I can make a point. So.
Stop stalling.
Fuck. No. So
You're
anyways.
wasting time.
Stop it, Sarah.
Oh, it says 30.
So-
Yeah, you got 30.
2 minutes.
God damn, I'm gonna have 3 minutes. When am I gonna start?
2
All right?
minutes.
2 minutes. Fuck me.
All right, I'll
Anyhow,
restart.
unlike Nathan. Okay, so
Wow.
Restarted.
to answer your question, so what's his drive? What gets him up, right? So it unfortunately just sounds like with Lara that she just kind of started the end of the world. So that's bad juju. But it also sounds that she just kind of beats bears for a living also, which I mean that's badass. You can't deny that. But how do you go from an explorer to a superhero, which that kind of sounded like what he was going for? So for an exploration game, for action adventure game, and not becoming a superhero all the time, where Nathan just unfortunately, unwittingly, just saves the world, where it kind of sounds like Lara's becoming more of a superhero than anything, to keep in the same genre and to keep everything the same. Nathan Drake's story is a little more interesting in that regard, right? So he believes that he's actually a descendant of the famous explorer Sir Francis Drake. So his drive is to find in the first game, right, the lost treasure of El Dorado. So that's a famous freaking city that everybody can get behind, right? So that's the city of gold, right? So that brings him like all of his knowledge to find the lost city of gold. Again, because we're sticking on the action adventure and as well as exploration for what? Treasure. So throughout the whole entire series, he finds out more and more about his past, right? He wanted to be really, he was told that he was Sir Francis Drake's descendant. That's how he was, able to get up in the morning and keep on continuing. He was able to, find El Dorado. He was able to find a lot of other, unknown civilizations that the world has just, completely forgot about. And then you had the bad guys following him the whole entire time who were too dumb to find it, so they followed freaking Nathan Drake, because he was able to decipher, all the clues. He was able to actually, get to all these places where, again, nobody was able to get to. All right. So with that being said, it's like, wouldn't you want to know your past? Like, it became more and more interesting with every installment about, and spoiler alert, a little depressing at the end, but, it comes full circle. And that's what gets him up to, for the drive, to stick on the precedence of action, of adventure. He's not trying to save the world. He just, unfortunately, is unwittingly, he just does. His whole entire idea of fun is to go rock climbing and to go, go find the nearest and next adventure and go, treasure hunting just for the hell of it. And I said my piece.
Sounds like Nick Cage.
It sure does sound like Nick Cage.
I'm not gonna say that I've seen or heard this movie before. National Treasure.
2.
National Treasure. They
Shit.
find El Dorado.
Sequel, dude. El Dorado sounds like a bad Mexican spice. All right. Anyway,
Could be.
So,
Makes you shit cold.
anyway, besides AJ's prison poundings and him pronouncing the Infinity Stones wrong,
Oh yeah.
Eric,
Yeah.
my bubble buddy, I'm gonna throw this up to you. You can hit him with that question of yours.
Oh, you mean this question?
That big,
This one right
nasty
here that I'm
question?
looking at on
Yeah.
my page right now?
Yeah, that big juicy one. Hit him with it.
That's just become disturbing.
This is awesome.
Last question. Are you boys
Yeah, the
ready?
last one. Don't fuck it up,
Because
guys.
we're going to do odd
Fuck
number
it up.
questions this time, so there can't be a tie, maybe.
Uh-oh. Spicy it up. Spicy
Last
it up.
question. Why is your treasure hunter, badass, action adventure explorer better than your opponents?
Get him.
And we're going to start with... Who did we start with last time, Matt? We're going to start with AJ.
Oh shit. All right, well, time for disappointing. I mean, oh yay.
Well, I mean, he can't give birth, so I mean,
It's
I
over.
guess he kind of
It's
loses
over.
right there. Damn. All right. Let's just toss the tail towel in right
I mean,
now.
technically he does hold the cargo. All right, whatever.
Please
in his
stop.
butt.
Just let him go.
Good lord.
'Cause
Okay,
I'm-
so
no.
oh god, no.
Come on.
So that kind of just brings all my points together, though. What makes him better than Lara Croft? Yeah, okay, fine. She takes down a bear. That's great. So she takes down a cougar. Fantastic. Who the fuck wants to fight a goddamn cougar anyways? That's great. Nathan Drake wasn't dumb enough to put himself in that position anyways, so he doesn't need to. So he's intelligent at least to know where to go and where not to go. So he's not put into these extra situations where you have to fight off a freaking mauling bear or a cougar, but he goes against a zombie. This is a fucking zombie. Have you faced a zombie? I don't think so. So,
Cannibals, bro.
Stop
cannibals,
doing
bro.
that.
So zombies, I think, are a little more interesting than animal wildlife. He already, again, so from a kid, he has taught himself everything that he knows for the most part, and then he has a partner who backs him up. It's a freaking duo of epic proportions. He has his father figure in Sully, right? Victor goddamn Sullivan. And also, do you guys know the freaking Uncharted theme song? Everybody knows the Uncharted theme song. What is the Tomb Raider theme song?
I'm pregnant.
Everybody knows the Uncharted theme song. It's been in every single video game. I don't know Lara Croft's theme song. And to be a complete badass, you need to have a good theme song, like Indiana Jones. So, Indiana Jones, Nathan Drake, both badasses, cats and dogs, sleeping together, mass hysteria.
Yeah.
But everything is just everything just kind of comes together with everything that I've just said. Everything that I've said is my point of why Nathan Drake will be the best.
Well said.
I felt the sweat off of that explanation.
My feet
and I
are
went to take a
sweating.
shower.
And Matt, why do you think Nathan Drake is not the best?
Well, Now, I've had the pleasure of playing both games and both series, and I do enjoy Nathan. But sometimes, yeah, you're understanding his backstory, but there's just not too much there. It's just a shooter. It's just something that's just like, all right, he's solving another thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a great series, love it, really enjoyed it. But there's something about that vulnerability that that Lara always has. Drake never has that vulnerability. The only vulnerability he really had in any of the games is when he was going up against, I don't know, actually in the beginning of the second game. He's stabbed and he's trying to climb up a train. That's the only vulnerability part. Other than that, I mean, and yeah, he's been in jail, but who else hasn't? Like, seriously, he's been in jail and he puts himself in.
Do you have something to tell us there, brother?
No, I do not. I've never been in jail. But
Also, please, thank you for correcting me. It was a train, not an airplane he was claiming. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But the fact of the matter is he's your basic run-of-the-mill dude that will go through. He's pretty much an Indiana Jones clone that is more of a smartass.
Yes.
That's really who it is. Now, Lara, she's different. She breaks the mold. She's not a Indiana Jones clone. Obviously, because she has tits and a vagina. That's the obvious point. But
bold claims.
She also is very
2019, making assumptions.
She's not that same woman that everyone knows her as in, say, the movies with Angelina Jolie, and the tight crop top and the double huge guns and just jumping around and making weird shit, or the original games where she would do the same thing. In this series, she's a vulnerable person, and it's amazing to me that, like, there aren't more games with her in it and more people like her in action adventure games. Drake, don't get me wrong, he's a cool character, really awesome, but you can probably put at least 3 other characters next to him and you couldn't tell the difference. You could probably put Joel from Last of Us Part 2, made by the same people, very similar. Not even gonna lie, the only difference is that Drake has a little bit more of a smartass. And yeah, he's got Sully, whatever. Lara does all this shit by herself, and she's usually going against 6'4" men that are like outweigh her by like 300 pounds, and she's kicking their asses. So that's my point.
Nice.
And bears. Jaguars.
Yes.
Okay, I think Ryan and I have some talking to do here.
Oh, good.
So Ryan, what are you thinking here? Who do you think? Let's go back to the first question, right? So, what made their character, or why was their character more influential than the other, right? To action adventure. Yeah.
I'm a hush your cute little face real fast. All right. I'm gonna take my hand. And gently graze it against your arm right now. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, Nathan Drake's cool and all, but all right. So this is why I gave this point-a-rooney to my man Matt, because Lara Croft was the first woman protagonist to appear in the game. Not to mention, yeah, Indiana Jones is cool and whatnot, but he's scared of snakes. Like, I can't respect a man who's scared of snakes.
Nathan Drake isn't scared of snakes.
I'm sorry. Are you speaking?
Yes.
You're deduct a point.
My bad. All right. No. Yeah. Negative. Anyway, my point goes to Matt simply because, not because Laura's just a woman, but she's pretty much by herself the whole time. And who doesn't like a badass chick who explores by herself? My point goes to Matthew.
Well, that's funny, because I was going to give my point to AJ.
Oh.
Because AJ did bring up a valid point. This game just adds so much to the action-adventure genre of games. Because all the funky, weird stuff he was talking about, the top-notch action. He gets stabbed and then he's climbing a train or something. Like, what? That's insanity.
He also did say it was a plane. Didn't realize it was a train until I corrected him.
I'm so sorry that it wasn't a bear or cougar.
He's definitely right.
It's all the time in prison.
Yes, I understand. She's the first, female protagonist in action-adventure games. That's unheard of. But just the amount of danger he's in constantly, being shot at and yelled at, and climbing up these 4 pillars to go and swing on a vine or something. That's just so much action. I can't stand it. So I'm going to have to give this one to AJ.
Oh. All right.
You're kind of handsome.
Oh, kind of.
Yeah, you were, but now you're kinda. Jesus Christ, son.
All right, so Matt and I are tied right now.
All right, now Eric, let me throw this little tiny snowball into your court, my man. My question that I asked was, what makes your character the more adept treasure finder? Or finding treasure.
Why are you assuming that I'm not going to agree with you?
Because I know.
Okay, sorry.
It's the way of things. It's like when we go into a League of Legends spot. All right, we're not getting into this. Anyway,
We're not getting into this.
Wait, no, we're not because I hate you. Anyway, Eric, from what you heard from this question, from both the handsome Matthew and the suave AJ, I guess. What makes your character? Who do you think is the most adept at finding treasure? Who do you think answered this the best and persuaded you on their side?
I'm gonna have to go again with Nathan Drake on this one. Yay! He's got a badass partner, which means he's got some outside help. He's self-taught, and I know Matt brought up that she was also a little self-taught, but he was an orphan who was adopted. He learned all this. He went with the flow. He learned all this I can't even understand how he could have learned all this stuff. He spied at you said he went to a party?
Yeah, he went to a party.
The street smarts alone, he's just gonna, and he just knows all the lore. He's got a big man brain. He's a marksman. He's athletic. He can swim and all that junk. And he knows all these dead languages. Like, come on, he's obviously got the upper hand to Lara Croft.
I feel like you do these things just to, like,
What? What's your point? You think that just because Lara Croft saved the world or whatever, that makes her more adept at?
Well, no, considering they've both saved the world. Like, you come at me as if I'm not going to agree with you.
Well, do you?
I mean, actually, yeah. For this question, I gave the point to AJ.
Wow, that's oh my goodness.
Yeah, right.
This is unheard of.
This is gonna be the only time we have record this. It is. All right,
now I understand she's good at solving puzzles, as Matt put wisely. But bears are not gonna find you treasure. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, here's the thing.
That wasn't that question. The bear question was for the badass question.
Yeah, if you're gonna quote him on his bear quotes, then you were right. All right.
Bears are not gonna find you treasure.
The reason I'm agreeing with you, Eric, is because Lara Croft, she's by herself. She's an independent woman who can give birth. She hasn't been to prison, but you know what? I think it's the prison skill right there that deserves him that. And you know what?
The enlarged asshole.
I'm giving AJ.
True.
I'm giving AJ the point because I can relate with the prison and the enlarged asshole. All right, I know what that's like. And
wait,
to be honest,
which question are you on?
Shh, don't worry about
Sorry.
it. Anyway,
The second one still.
But what does the prison have to do? Okay, never mind.
God damn, Eric, just let me have my moment. All right.
Alright, sorry.
God, I still have my time to shine for. Anyway, just real fast, I agree with AJ and Eric on this one simply because Laura's by herself, but Nathan does know how to speak in dead languages, and yes, Lara does have specific skills that make her a menace to people like me. But I feel as if Nathan just has that little extra something in the butt that gives him that, and it's not his prison cell.
He's always packing, as they say.
Eric, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
E-Dog.
Okay.
Big Ounce.
Uh-huh.
You asked the question that came up next, right?
I sure did.
Well, Eric, I know it's not my time to shine again, but I want to know how you're feeling on this question that you asked. How did you feel on the question you asked? Who did you side with?
Who did I side with? I obviously went with my main girl, or woman, or whatever, Lara Croft on this one. Now, sure.
Tits McGee.
Tits McGee. Now, sure, AJ brought up the lovely point that going to prison obviously makes you a badass. But, you know, he does get the job done. But at the end of the day, bears are scary. She's got more survival skills.
No, it wasn't cougars, it was jaguars, remember?
Oh, jaguars, yeah.
Well, I also thought a fucking train was a plane, so what do I know?
She's got more survival skills. She's a little bit more relatable than Nathan Drake, this handsome, rugged man that was raised on the streets. She's just this vulnerable 7, 18, 19-year-old that had to murder someone with a pickaxe. It's very aggressive, and it's just like the turn from being this vulnerable person turning right into this horrible murderous badass is just something I can't look away from. It's just like this horrible divine comedy that you just have to keep watching. While Nathan Drake, he certainly is not, you know, something to laugh at, but Lara Croft definitely takes the cake on being a badass.
Well, Eric, that's interesting because it seems like for once in a lifetime, me and you were agreeing at two things, because for this one I gave the point to my man Matthew.
Oh my goodness.
Now, the reason I gave the point to my man Matt, or aka Lara Croft, is because, yeah, Nathan Drake, I guess, is cool. Yeah, an orphan. And yeah, he sucked at baseball because he could never find home. But you know what? let me hit you boys with this. Can Nathan Drake experience the miracle that is childbirth? No. Has Nathan Drake ever had to experience something that happens once at the end of a month? No. He doesn't know the struggles. And you know what? Nathan Drake has never wrestled a fucking bear with his bare hands.
With his bare hands?
Yeah, with his bare hands. And you know what? It goes to Laura because she's a strong, independent woman who needs no man, who doesn't need a friend dragging her down. She does everything by herself with her wits, her cunning, her sexy bod, and you know what? Dare I even say, her non-prison wits. Because I guarantee you sometimes Nathan goes through those tunnels, has a little quick PTSD moment where he's in there with a big man trying to wrestle him to the ground and get that little tiny idol. And I hate to bring it up again, but yeah, Nathan Drake reminds me of Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones, kind of a puss-puss. Kind of a puss-puss.
Makes
and
sense
you know
to
what?
me.
And you know what, Eric? You know what, Eric? I just gotta say one other thing.
Okay.
When I had asked the question, who had the better drive to finding the treasure, what puts lead in both of these men and women pencils? When I would ask the oh so important question of who has the better motivation, I actually gave the point to AJ.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And you know what, AJ? I'll say it. I gave you the point simply because Nathan does have the better motivation. Being in prison, knowing what it's like to have... Whoa, why is that funny, AJ?
Oh.
By
I'm sorry, I'm still laughing for the fucking orphan joke you made with him sucking at baseball.
Damn it, AJ!
This is no laughing matter.
Stop it!
I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
What
Like
about
I
you,
shot-
Eric?
Who
Wait,
did I
on.
think? Wait, he wasn't
got-
done with this point. He's very,
No,
you know.
I got 2 seconds left. Hold on. Anyway, like I was saying, just because he knows it's a hard time on the streets, being in Compton prison, it's made the man. All right, you go, Eric.
Well, you seem to have not listened to this part. Were you like on Instagram or something? Because obviously,
I'm on
Matt.
some heavy Adderall. I'm not gonna
Oh
lie.
yeah, that's right. I forgot. Did you fall asleep?
Kinda, yeah.
Because obviously
If
Matt.
you are,
All right, I don't care anymore. Obviously Matt. Matt had the ability to persuade me why the drive to find this treasure is not just about personal gain. Sure, he wanted to go to El Dorado or whatever. I saw that in a Disney movie. I don't care. This is like a golden city just because his grandpa or whatever. I don't care about that. You gotta save your friends.
Hold on.
Well, I don't. She's got to save her friend. She accidentally starts the death of the world, and then she has to save that because, oops, my bad. She has to. This regime that's trying to push something that's just horrible. She's got to stop that. Versus what? Like, sure, Nathan Drake has a brother or whatever, and this guy who's like, whatever. But she's got way more of a drive to find these treasure than just having some gold sitting in their house
And playing Crash Bandicoot.
With their feet on the table.
In his defense, he's never
Their
played
dirty
Crash
feet
Bandicoot,
on the
that's why he
table.
was terrible.
Who does that?
What the hell is a Bandicoot?
Exactly.
Now, you may disagree with me here, which leaves it at a tie before the last question, which is very annoying because we specifically had 5 questions, so there would be no tie. My question of why is your character better than the other? Obviously, I'm going to have to give that one to my boy, Matthew, because this character's not just another rugged man character that we see in all these lovely action games. Like he said, you can stand him up to 3 other ones and then you'd be able to find similarities like it's nothing. This character is just so unique. They're a woman. That's cool. Not judging or anything, but not just this basic dude. Sure, he had to fight zombies. Sure, he was self-taught and, has a cool theme song, which was a good point, but, but Matt's right. That the character's just boring compared to what Lara Croft has to go through.
I hate the fact that you agreed 3 times. Like, this is what makes me really upset. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, AJ. Suck it.
That makes
Lara Croft is way more badass. You know what? I don't want to keep beating the dead bear here, but has Nathan Drake fisticuffs? No, you know what? I hate to say it, but I'm gonna keep coming back to these 2 major points. Also, Laura has gone against a zombie in her day. All right. Anyway.
In the trilogy he's talking about now?
Cannibal?
He goes against...
Cannibals are basically zombies, right?
Cannibals, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just can't, zombie. And anyway, she gives
people.
She can go through childbirth, and I don't know if you have titties.
What the fuck with this?
I don't know if you have titties, AJ. You ever been punched in the titty?
I mean, I almost have titties. I gotta go back to the gym.
Some nice little boy. I'm getting off topic. Anyway, my point.
Are you
Just
really?
Lara
Crazy?
Croft is female by herself. Doesn't need help from no man like Nathan Drake. Puss.
I mean, I think you can be a man by yourself too, but I get your point.
No, Lara Croft is by herself. She's strong, independent, and you know what? She's taking down bears, cougars. Hell, she's fought so many men at this point. She's had to fight off more trouser snakes than anything. And you know what? Because of that, Lara Croft gets the point.
All right, way to go.
That makes Matthew our winner. Lara Croft winning 6-4.
Way to go, Matt.
Thank you. Any closing arguments?
Closing argument. No.
Well, closing statement
Bears.
from the judges.
Nathan Drake 2020.
Join us next time as we do our new podcast on Eric and mine's body weight. Who will topple the scale? Find out.
It's probably me.
Yikes. Anyway, so
Probably me.
You want to bet, bitch?
about the outcome, what do you guys think about homeless children? Because apparently they're bad at baseball. So, any and all comments?
That's fucked up. Can I make
Any
a
and all
final
comments
comment?
on what you guys think? We would love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Give it up for Matt. He wins this this debate, but it could be you guys might have a different thought about it. Let us know.
Yeah, and also our buddies at Just Your Average Channel, they will be doing the same topic. They will be doing that. I think they're recording tomorrow night, which is a Tuesday. I don't know when this will be out, but maybe ours will and theirs will be out at the same time. Who knows? All on Eric on this one. So
That's me.
yeah. So, but I hope everyone enjoyed. Go see our video, see their video, and maybe we'll be doing a collab with them pretty soon. Maybe if we get 2 different versions, like if they do Nathan and we have Lara, then I can go up against them and do the same thing.
Just bring the bear argument with you. It's over.
Oh, I'm gonna bring props.
And of course,
Matt, I'm willing to commit. I'm willing to commit and buy a fucking bear costume. I will run in.
Yes, we'll travel up to Rhode Island.
I'll run and go.
This is what she goes through all the time.
and
You're
guys,
trying
trying to
to fight a bear.
mansplain.
don't
Now
forget
you're trying
to
to fight a bear with a gun. Sorry.
don't forget to also play these games if you haven't had the chance.
Oh, without a doubt, all of them
Both.
are freaking Uncharted, Tomb Raider, awesome games.
For that,
Yes,
if you
both
want
of
to be a
both
real,
of them are great.
you'll play some Lara Croft.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm attacking you.
Anyway.
Well,
All right, so feel free, guys, to like, comment, subscribe, let us know what your thoughts are. Until the next one, guys. Peace out.
Later, boys.
Bye.
peace.